Hello everyone. I hope everyone is fine. Session will start will be soon.
So we will be starting our session. So before I start my session, I just wanted to know how many of you are aware about JavaScript? How many of you are aware about JavaScript? If you know what is JavaScript and if you have the experience on JavaScript, or you might have learned JavaScript in your college days or maybe in certain boot camp, right? If yes, just let me know yes. And in case if you don't know anything about JavaScript, you just heard the term something like JavaScript, but you don't know any kind of concepts, then just let me know no on the chat. Great. I got pretty good answers from the people. Like few of are aware about JavaScript, few don't know at all what is JavaScript, and there are few students who know little bit about JavaScript. Great. Okay. So can we start our discussion with the JavaScript? So our discussion we will start with what is JavaScript? What is JavaScript? Anybody knows what is JavaScript at least? Scripting language. Okay. Scripting language, behavior of web page. See, my question is very simple. I'm just asking what is JavaScript, right? I'm not asking what is the purpose of JavaScript or what are the features of JavaScript. My question is very clear. What is JavaScript? Okay, great, great. I got a lot of answers and few of answers are correct. And there are few answers which are partially correct. Okay, great, great. So what is JavaScript? JavaScript is a programming language. Am I right? JavaScript is a programming language. So how we have the programming languages like C, you have the Java, you have C#. In the same way, even your JavaScript is a programming language. But few of you answered JavaScript is a scripting language, right? Even scripting language is correct, but it is a partially correct. So basically, it was a scripting language. JavaScript was a scripting language. Okay, now if someone asks you what is JavaScript, answer should be pretty straightforward. It is a programming language. Okay, there is a little difference between programming language and the scripting language. And JavaScript was scripting language like before 2010. Before the year 2010, we used to call JavaScript as a scripting language. But after 2010, like after introducing your Node.js, Angular, React, then your JavaScript is like a programming language. So is it clear for everybody what is JavaScript? If someone asks you, I hope you will be able to answer them what is JavaScript. Exactly. Okay, so we will discuss the difference between programming language and the scripting language as well. So before I start the discussion between this programming language and scripting language, can you guys tell me what is the difference between a programming language and the scripting language? Anybody knows what is programming language and what is scripting language? Anybody have the idea? Okay, now why JavaScript was called scripting language? Anybody knows why JavaScript was called scripting language? Because JavaScript was executable only in the browser. Initially, before 2010, JavaScript was executable only in the browser. Only in the browser. This is why people used to call JavaScript as a scripting language. Okay. Now, why JavaScript is called programming language? Why JavaScript is called now programming language? Because you can execute JavaScript in the browser, plus you can execute JavaScript inside the server also. Example, your Node.js. Node.js is a server. Now you can execute your JavaScript inside the server also. It means you can take some input using JavaScript. You can process that input. You can process that input and you can generate some output. Any language which is capable of taking some input, it can process that input, and based on that process, it can generate some output. Such languages are called programming languages. Such languages are called programming languages. Now, using JavaScript, you can do all these things. Okay, that is the reason now JavaScript is called programming language. JavaScript evolved in such a way after 2010. You can build any kind of application with JavaScript. Initially, before 2010, it was possible to create only front-end application using your JavaScript. But now you can create front-end application, you can create back-end application, even you can work on database. Okay, such a powerful the JavaScript language has become. That is the reason now JavaScript is not a scripting language, it is called a programming language. Is it clear for everyone? What is the difference between programming language and the scripting language? Okay, now if someone asks you, what is JavaScript? What will be your answer? Your answer will be scripting or it will be the programming? Yes, it is a programming language. Now, what is the purpose of JavaScript? Can you tell me why we are using this JavaScript? What is the purpose of JavaScript? So before I discuss certain topic, I would like to ask the question related to that topic, just to make just to know how many of you know the answers for that particular question. Okay, so that I will get the idea how to explain that particular concept. I cannot use Hindi much, guys, because there are a lot of people who are from the southern part as well. Maybe they are not aware about Hindi much. That is the reason. Let's go with the common language, that is English. In case if you are not understanding something in English, let me know. I will try to explain that particular topic in Hindi before I explain in English. Or after explaining in English, I will try to explain same thing in Hindi. Okay. Okay, great. Okay, let me explain you exactly what is the purpose of JavaScript. So using JavaScript, we can make our web page dynamic. Am I right? Using JavaScript, you can make your web page dynamic. Dynamic is nothing but, what do you mean by dynamic? Basically, you can add interactivity, right? You can add interactivity to your web page. Okay, this is the first purpose. Second purpose, using JavaScript, we can build or we can develop business logic. Or instead of develop, can I use something like implement? That's more technical. Using JavaScript, we can implement business logic. Okay, so this business logic we will develop in the backend, applications, and this interactivity we will develop in the front-end applications. So before 2010, if someone would have asked what is the purpose of JavaScript, then my answer used to be only first answer. That is, JavaScript is used to create dynamic web pages. Basically, we cannot create dynamic web pages. We can make web page dynamic. Okay, there is a difference between these two sentences: creating dynamic web page and making web page dynamic. There is a difference. There is a difference. Don't say JavaScript is used to create dynamic web pages. We cannot create web pages using JavaScript or HTML. The creation of web page is done by browser. Now we can add some interactivity to that particular web page using JavaScript. Okay. So be careful whenever you are defining certain terms or whenever you are defining certain language or purpose of certain thing. Okay. Now let's try to understand what do you mean by interactivity. Nice. So let's consider I have created one web page. I have created one web page. Okay. Now on this web page, I want to display some content. Here I want to display something like welcome to Geekster. Okay, something like welcome to Geekster. Here I just want to display welcome to Geekster. Okay, now tell me, on your web page, if I want to structure my content like this, and if I want to create here one button, which technology we will use? Which technology we will use to structure the content on our web page, to create some content like a button shape? Which technology we will use? Yes, we are going to use something called HTML, right? To display the content on the web page. But to style the content on web page, we will use something called CSS. To display the content on web page, we will use HTML. To style the content on web page, we will use CSS. Okay. Now my requirement is, if I click on this button, I want to change this content. I just want to change this content. If I click on this button, I want to change this content from welcome to Geekster to hello Geekster. Hello Geekster. Now my requirement is, if I click on this button, I want to change this content from welcome to Geekster to hello Geekster. And initially I am displaying the content in black color. Now I want to display the content in red color or maybe in the green color, something like this. Okay, so how can I do this kind of interaction? On the button click, my color should change or my content should change. So how can I do this kind of interaction? So this kind of interaction I can do using JavaScript. This is what we call as an interaction. So you are interacting with this web page using these buttons, maybe using checkboxes, maybe using radio buttons, something like that. Now, did you got idea? What do you mean by interaction? What do you mean by making your web page dynamic? Okay. Now, I hope you guys got pretty good idea what is HTML, what is CSS, what is JavaScript without explaining about them. Without explaining about them, at least you got little bit idea, right? What is HTML? What is CSS? What is JavaScript? Especially I wanted to ask to those people who don't have any kind of knowledge on this technology. Are you guys able to understand? Great. So now we know what is JavaScript. We know what is the purpose of JavaScript. Okay. There are so many things to learn about JavaScript. If you just start discussion of discussion related to JavaScript, it will take complete 4 to 5 hours just to discuss about the JavaScript. So such a powerful language your JavaScript is. And if you compare like importance of JavaScript across all the programming languages, then JavaScript is the most important language you will find in the world. Because if you take any other programming language, they will work on for specific actions only. For specific tasks only, we can take certain programming languages. For example, you take Java. Now using Java, what we can do? We can develop mobile applications or we can develop backend applications, right? Using Python, what you can do? You can just work in the field of data science, basically in the field of data, or else you can develop backend application. But when it comes to JavaScript, with JavaScript, you can do so many things. You can develop front-end application, you can develop back-end application, even you can work in the field of data. But JavaScript is not that popular as the Python. Okay, so in the field of data, your Python is powerful. But in the terms of front end, your JavaScript is powerful. But still, you can do something with JavaScript. But same thing you cannot do with the Python. With Python, you cannot create your front end application. You cannot make your your pages like dynamic. Okay, fine. Okay, now to work, now anybody knows if I write my JavaScript code, if I write some code in JavaScript, so where I can execute this code? If I write some code in JavaScript, where can I execute this code? Can I execute this code in the browser? Can I execute my JavaScript code directly inside the browser? Is it possible? Inside the JavaScript, it is possible. Inside the browser, it is possible to execute your JavaScript code. How means? You can go to this browser. Now this is my browser. Okay, I can right click. You will get one option called inspect here. Just click on this inspect. Okay, here you will find one tab called console. Okay, here you will find one tab console. Okay, here I found one tab console. Now here I can write my JavaScript code. I can write my JavaScript code. For example, I want to do the addition. So can I do 10 plus 10? 10 plus 10. Now if I click on enter, now see I got here 20. It means on this browser also we can execute our JavaScript code. We can execute our JavaScript code. That is what I have told you initially. Your JavaScript can be executed inside your browser. Okay, that is the reason it was called scripting language. Okay, so we know this thing, we know this point that JavaScript can be executed inside the browser. But apart from the browser, can we execute JavaScript in any server? Apart from the browser, can we execute JavaScript in any server? Or outside the browser? Can we execute our JavaScript? So what will be your answer? Yes or no? Outside the browser, can we execute JavaScript code? Yes, we can execute inside the Node.js, right? There is a server called Node.js. Okay, now can we install this Node.js? I want to install this Node.js because I don't want to use browser initially to execute my JavaScript code. I want to use Node.js. So if you want to use Node.js, you have to install this Node.js. We have to install this Node.js. And trust me, guys, installing the Node.js server is very, 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 very easy. It will just take 3 minutes, not more than that. It will take just 3 minutes. Okay. If you want to install Node.js, what you need to do? Simply go to your browser and here search for nodejs.org. Nodejs.org. Click on enter. You will land here. You will land on the Node.js homepage. Now here you click on downloads. Here you will find one option called downloads. Click on this downloads. And based on your operating system, you can download Node.js from here. Okay, one executable link will be downloaded. Just double click on that. Next, finish. That's it. This is how Node.js server we will be installing in our system. Very, very, very easy installation. The way we install normal software, in the same way we have to install Node.js. So already Node.js is installed in my system. That is the reason I'm not showing the installation part. Okay, very easy. If you are Windows, just click on this 64-bit. One downloadable link will be downloaded here. Executable link will be downloaded. Now open it. Double click on that. Then just follow the instructions. Next, finish it. Node.js will install. Is it clear for everyone how to install Node.js? Yes. There might be a lot of people who already installed the Node.js. Now I want to check whether Node.js is installed in my system or not. Whether Node.js is installed What I need to do for that, if I want to check my Node.js is installed in my system or not, open your terminal. Open your terminal. If you are on Windows, open your command prompt. Okay. Now simply here you hit a command called node space -v. You have to use this simple command and click on enter. If you get some version number here, it means Node.js is installed in your system. Node.js is installed in your system. Okay. Is it clear? And if you get this kind of message, suppose if you get something, this kind of message, node is not recognized as internal or external command, it means Node.js is not installed in your system. Node.js is not installed in your system. Okay. Is it clear for everyone how to check whether Node.js is installed or not? Okay, great. Let me close this. Yeah, let's come back to our paint file. Okay, now we know what is JavaScript, what is the purpose of JavaScript, and how to install Node. Okay, so I am assuming that everybody installed Node. So you know what is JavaScript, purpose of JavaScript. Purpose of JavaScript. Okay, let me just increase the font size. And we know the installation of Node. Installation of Node. Okay, so I will give you 2 minutes. Can you guys install Node.js? Meanwhile, I'm just giving you 2 minutes. Meanwhile, can you guys install Node.js? The people who have not at all installed. Okay, it should not take more than 2 minutes, guys. Yeah, what you need to do, simply visit this nodejs.org. Okay, let me just give this link. Okay, if you are on the mobile, it's okay, guys. You can install later on. No need to set any environment variables for Node.js, guys. No need to set. Okay, so the configuration of Node.js is very easy. It is not that complicated like Java. I hope everybody knows, right? Installing your JDK or JRE will take certain configuration, right? You have to do certain configuration after installation of JDK and JRE. But our Node.js is not that complicated. Okay, it's very, 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 very easy. Okay. Okay. So now let's start with our first concept in JavaScript, that is variable. Anyone knows what is variable? What is variable? Variable in JavaScript? Or what is the purpose of variable? Now I don't go with that basics. Can you guys tell me what is the purpose of variable? Purpose of variable in JavaScript? Yes. So basically, if you want to store certain data, okay, for temporary purpose, then we can create something called variable. So you can consider variables are like containers. Variables are like containers where we can store the data, where we can store data or some information. Okay, now how to create variable, how to create these containers so that we can store the data. For that, JavaScript is giving us some set of instructions. What JavaScript is providing? JavaScript is providing us some set of instructions. Or I can say not instructions, I can say set of rules. Set of rules. JavaScript is providing us some set of rules using which we can create variables. We can create variables. Okay. Now to understand that rules, JavaScript is providing us something called syntax. Something called syntax. Now syntax are nothing but in our normal language, we can call as a grammar. We can call as a grammar. Now every language has some grammar, like our English has some grammar, Hindi language has some grammar, Telugu language has some grammar, right? So in the same way, every programming language or scripting language will have some grammars, nothing but some rules. To use that language, we have to follow some rules. So technically, we are going to call that rules or grammar as a syntax. As a syntax. So let's try to understand what is the syntax to create a variable. Okay. So here we need to understand syntax to create a variable. Now, can you guys tell me what is the syntax of creating a variable in JavaScript? Yeah. So here we have to use something called scope statement. There is something called scope statement. Okay. And then our variable name, we have to give some variable name. We have to give variable name. And remember, variable name should not start with, it should not start with numbers. It should not start with special characters. So there are some rules to define the variable names. And after that, semicolon, semicolon. That's it. This is the syntax of creating the variable. So what is the example? So I'm just giving you the example, something called var, and here some variable name. I'm giving here name. In the same way, we can create variable using something called let, something called here ct. I can create one more way, something called const. Here something like id equals to 101. Okay, so these are the examples of your variables. So what I did, I simply created the variables. Okay, now here this var, this let, and this const, all these are called scope statement. They are called scope statement. They are called scope statement. Is it clear for everyone? Var, let, const, they are called scope statement. What are scope? That we will try to understand after some time. Okay, so we have three scopes in JavaScript: var, let, and const. Var, let, and const, all these are called scope statement, and these are our variable names: name, ct, id. These are called variable names. Is it clear for everybody how to create a variable? Okay. Now let's come back here. Now can we create practically? Practically can we create? So to write our JavaScript code, I am using one software. I am using one software to write JavaScript code, and that software we are going to call as a IDE. IDE, and that IDE is VS Code. VS Code. So you can write your JavaScript code on some certain editor or something called IDE. IDE stands for Integrated Development Environment. Okay. So if you write your code, if you develop your programs on this IDE, then you will get lot of features, and you can develop your code in much more faster way than using the editor. So we have some editors, right? Like Notepad. Okay, we have something like Notepad, Notepad Plus. So we have this kind of editors where we can write our JavaScript code. Instead of using editors, I want to use something called IDE, which is one software. Okay, and which IDE we are going to use means something called VS Code. VS Code stands for Visual Studio Code. So you have to install this IDE also. You have to install this IDE also. So to work JavaScript, we required only two things. One is IDE, that is VS Code, and one server, that is Node.js server. Already we know how to install Node.js. Now let's try to understand how to install this VS Code. Okay, it's very easy. Just go to your browser, search for here download space VS Code, and click on enter. Now you will land on this link. Just click on your first link. This is the Visual Studio Code official page. From here, you can install it. Okay. Now VS Code installation is also very, very easy, guys. The way we have installed Node.js, in the same way the installation of VS Code is also very, very easy. Just you have to next finish. Okay, some set of commands you have to, some set of instructions you have to follow. That's it. So just install this VS Code also. So if you install this VS Code in your system, then you will find this kind of icon on the desktop. You will find this kind of icon on the desktop. Okay, now just double click and open this VS Code. If you double click on this, VS Code will open. That's it. Now here we need to open one folder. Inside this VS Code, we need to open one empty folder. So create one empty folder in any drive. For example, I want to create one empty folder in some drive, maybe something like E drive or D drive. I will go with the E drive. Here I am just creating one folder, empty folder, something called JavaScript. Okay, now this folder I want to open in my VS Code. So how to open in my VS Code? Simply click on file. There is an option called file. Click on open folder. We have an option called open folder. Now navigate to the path where you have created that folder. I created in the E drive. This is my folder. Just select it. That's it. It will directly open in your VS Code. Okay, understood how to open folder in your VS Code? Is it clear for everybody? Vishal, there was no programming language before JavaScript to use on the web. Oh, cool. Okay, first open the VS Code, then click on the file, click on open folder, and wherever you created your folder, you just open that folder. That's it. Okay, now inside this folder, I want to write my JavaScript code. So for that, you have to create one JavaScript file first. Okay, I am just giving here something called variable.js. How to create JavaScript file? So come to your VS Code. Inside this folder, I want to create one JavaScript file. So here, if you see, there are some icons. Okay, there are some icons. Click on this first icon. Now it will create a file for you and it will ask what is the name you want to give for that file. I want to give variable, the name of that file as a variable. And which file you want to create? Do you want to create text file, or you want to create HTML file, or Java file, or JavaScript file? I want to create JavaScript file. How to tell to this VS Code that we want JavaScript file? For that, just add dot and add here extension called JS. Add extension JS. Click on enter. One JavaScript file is created. Now inside this JavaScript file, we can write our JavaScript code. Okay. Yeah. Now we know only one line. We know only one concept, that is how to create variable. So can I create one variable here? Var name. This is what we know. And I have just written that statement. That's it. Here we created the variable. I want to create one more variable using let. You can create using let also. Let something like some name you give, some name to your variable like CT. Now this is called variable declaration. This we are going to call as a variable declaration. Nothing but we have created a variable. Nothing but one container is created. One container is created inside your file. Like this, one container is created. Now inside this container, what we can do? We can store some data. We can store some data here. How to store the data? Simply here, what we can do? In the next line, we can take this variable name. And if you want to store some data, we have to use here assignment operator. And whatever data you want to store, you can store here. Suppose here I am storing my name like Kabir. Now see what I did. I just stored one name inside my variable. One name inside my variable. Now here I want to store some name, some city. So here I will take this city and I will just add my city here. Something like Hyderabad. Something like Hyderabad. Okay. So this is the two variables we have created and we are storing the data. We are storing the data. Okay, you won't understand the difference between where and let now. Okay, you won't understand, because to understand the difference between where and let, you need some more concepts to know. You have to understand some more concepts, then only you can understand the difference between where and let. I cannot explain now. Okay, so as of now, you just assume that there are three scope statement, that is where, let and const. So using this where, let, const, we can create variable. Now, if I explain the difference, you won't understand. Everything will go out of your head. Okay. Now this is VS Code issue. This is VS Code issue. That is the reason here we are getting that line on the name variable. Okay. So just ignore it. That is VS, this editor issue. I hope now everybody understood how to create variable and how to store the data. Is it clear for everyone? How to create variable and how to store data. Okay. Now, if you come back here, I can create one more variable here. So I'm going with let only. Let ID, and I want to assign some data here. We can directly assign here also. So you can write in two lines like this. First, you created variable, then you assign the value. You can do like this in two steps, or you can do in one step only. You created your variable, and finally you assign some data. You assign some data. Okay. So now we know how to create variable and how to store the data in it. Okay. Now, can you tell me how many types of data we have in the programming language? How many types of data we have in the programming language? How many types of data in JavaScript programming language? So basically, every programming language will divide your data into different categories. They are dividing into different categories. So every programming language has some data types, Okay. Now, can you guys tell me how many data types we have in the JavaScript? There are how many data types in the JavaScript? The people who know JavaScript, they can answer. 3, 5, 8, 7. Int, we don't have anything like a int in JavaScript. Okay, that is your Java concept, maybe C#. Okay, there are totally 8 data types in JavaScript. How many data types? There are 8 data types. It means JavaScript is dividing your data into 8 different types. What are those 8 types? Let me try to mention here. Okay, there is one type called number. There is a type called string. Okay, we have something called boolean. We have null, undefined, okay, symbol. We have big int. Okay, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And last data type is object. So there are only 8 data types in the JavaScript. And those data types are number, string, boolean, null, undefined, symbol, big int, and object. Okay. These are the 8 data types. So the data which is in the format of number or decimal, they comes under number type. Like any data, for example, I want to store the ID of one person, or I want to store the number of one person, or I want to store the average marks of one person. Any data which we are mentioning in the form of numbers or decimal numbers, all will comes under number type. All those data are said to be number type. Okay, any data in your programming language, if you are mentioning inside double quotes, any data which you are mentioning in double quotes or single quotes or backticks, any data which you are mentioning inside double quotes or inside single quotes or inside backticks, okay, backtick, all that data are said to be string type. They are categorizing as a string type. Okay, any data which is in the form of true or false, for example, I want to know whether a person got placement or not. So there is only 2 answers, right? Yes or no. We can say true. True means person got placement. If I say false, it means person didn't get any placement. So any data which is in the form of true or false, such data we are going to call as a boolean type. Number type, string type, boolean type. If I want to know the status of marital status of any person, like is married, whether the person is married or not. So there are only 2 answers, right? Yes or no. It can be true or false. True means person is married, false means person is not married. So any data which is in the form of true or false, such data we are going to call as a boolean type. So number type, string type, boolean type. Okay, so I will not discuss this part because we don't have that much time. This you guys can explore in the internet. Okay, this part you guys can explore in the internet. And we have one more type, that is object type. Object type. So any data which is in the form of object or array, any data which you are storing in the form of object or array, they are said to be object type. They are said to be object type. Okay, array is not any data type. Remember, array is not a data type. Array data type is object. In lot of interviews, people will ask, what is the data type of array? They will just create one array and they will ask, what is the data type of this array? 95% people will answer array. They will say array is a data type, but that is wrong. The data type of array is object. Okay. So there are totally 8 data types: number, string, boolean, null, undefined, symbol, big int, and object. In this, they are divided into 2 categories, like primitive type and non-primitive type. So first 7 data types are primitive data types. They are primitive data types. This object is non-primitive data type in the JavaScript. Non-primitive data type. Okay, I hope you got the information. What are the data types and how many data types we have? Okay, I cannot cover certain topics in very depth. The reason, if I cover data types in depth, then data types will take 3 hours to explain. Okay, Data type itself will take 3 hours to explain in depth. But our master class is just for 2 hours, right? So I need to cover a lot of concepts. That is the reason I am just trying to brush up the things of JavaScript. Okay, why object means we have to ask to the person who created JavaScript. But the person who created JavaScript, he clearly told there are only 8 data types. Now, why it is Java, why it is object means we need to ask the question to him. Okay, remember these are the programming language. The language is always done. Like for example, in Hindi, if I want to ask, had your dinner? How to ask in Hindi, had your dinner? If I want to ask, had your dinner in Hindi? So how to ask? Something like I will ask like this, right? आपने खाना खाया क्या? Now, if you ask me why we have to use आपने खाना खाया क्या? Why we have to use the word khana only? Then I don't have the answer right now. I need to ask to the person who created Hindi. So why did you use this word khana, which represents food? So like this in your programming language, there are certain terms, right? There are certain concepts. They have introduced it. So we have to know those and we have to use those concepts accordingly. Okay, now let's come back here. Now let's try to understand about the object. Do you know what is object in JavaScript? What is object in JavaScript? We will create a lot of JavaScript file. Don't worry about it, okay? If you don't know how to create JavaScript file, I will let you know one more time. Do you know what is object in JavaScript? Anybody? Just now I have told you, right? What is object? Object is a data type. This is what I have told you, right? There is one object, data type. So there is a data type called object. Okay. So in our JavaScript, there is one data type whose name is object, and there is one more object concept which is called data structure. Object is a data structure also. Okay, there is one special data type in JavaScript whose name is object. Okay, but now I am trying to speak in the terms of data structure concept. So what is object? Object is a data structure in JavaScript. So there are two concepts in JavaScript which are related to object term. One is data structure and one more is data type. One more is data type. Okay, so what is object? Object is a data structure in JavaScript. Now, can you guys tell me what is the purpose of data structure? What is data structure? Anyone knows what is data structure? Yes. It is a technique of organizing the data. It is a technique of organizing the data. Okay, or it is a technique of structuring the data in certain pattern. So what is data structure? Data structure is nothing but it is a technique of structuring, or you can use organizing data in certain pattern. So this is what you are going to learn in the data structures. We have different patterns, techniques to structure the data. We have stack, we have queue, we have tree, right? We have so many data structures. In the same way, your object is also one data structure. Okay, so where you can store some data in certain pattern. We can store some data in certain pattern. What is that pattern? So inside the object, we can store the data in key value pair. So object is used to store the data in key value pair. In key value pair. Okay, what is object? Object is a data structure. Now, what is data structure? It is a technique of storing some data in certain pattern. Now, what is that pattern? The pattern is storing the data in key value pair. Key value pair. Okay. Now, let's try to understand how to create the object in JavaScript. How to create object in JavaScript. First, let's try to create one object. Then let's try to store some data inside that object. How to create object in JavaScript. Okay, syntax is very simple. First, you need to create one variable so that you can hold that object. Create one variable, something like var student. This is my variable equals to. Now, here I want to assign one object. I want to assign one object. How to assign? Open curly brace, close curly brace. Open curly brace, close curly brace. This is your object. This is your object. This is how we create object in JavaScript. Okay, this is one of the way of creating the object. Now, inside this object, what we can do? We can store some data in the key value pair. Every data should have some key. It should have some value. For example, I want to store student name. I want to store student name. How to store student name? For that, key is name, colon, and we have to add some value. For example, I am adding here Raj. So what is this? This is called key and this is called value. This is called value. How to differentiate key and value? Using this colon, And this entire thing we are going to call as a property. Now this entire thing we are going to call as a property. Okay, and this part, this is your value, and this is your key, and this is value. Okay, so what your object contains? Your object contains some data. In which format? It contains in the key value format, and that key value format we are going to call as a property. What object contains? Object contains some data. This data you are storing in which pattern? Key value pattern. This key value pattern, what we are going to call? We are going to call as a property. So can I say object is a collection of properties? Because inside one object, you can store any number of properties. And from one property to another property, you have to differentiate with comma. Suppose I want to store one more property. I can store here. Every property should have some key and it should have some value. For example, Delhi. Now, these are the two properties. How to differentiate two properties? Using comma operator. How to differentiate key and value? Using colon. So this is my object where I am storing student information like student name and student city information. Okay, so let's create practically. Can we create practically here? Now inside this JavaScript folder, I want to create one file, another file. Click on this first icon. Now it will ask you what is the name you want to give. I want to give object. Okay, .js. Now one more file created, that is object.js. Now here I want to create one object. How to create object? Var, give some variable name, something like student. Whatever name you want to give, you can give, equals to create one object. How to create one object? open curly brace, close curly brace. This is the object. This is your object. This is how we create the object. Is it clear for everyone how to create object? Can I create one more object? Here, can I create one more object? Something like this, where products equals to open curly brace, close curly brace. That's it. This is called object. This is product object. This is student object. Student object. Inside this object, what we can do? We can store some data. We can store some data. So I want to store some name here. Name, colon. Here I am adding something like Kabir. Okay, this is property. This entire thing is property. And this is key. This is value. This is value. Now, can you add one more property? Yes. But first add comma and then add property. Like city will be something like Hyderabad. Can I add one more property? Yes. For example, email. Here something like kabir@geekster.in. Okay, geekster.in. Now what I did, I have added here three properties. So can I say object is a collection of properties? Each property is in the format of key and value. Each property is in the format of key and value, where value represents actual data, and key represents reference. Represents reference to access this data. Is it clear for everybody how to create object and how to store properties? Yeah. Now here I want to store one more property. I want to create one more object for products. Can I store some data here related to some product? Every product will have some brand name. For example, Apple. We will have product name. We can have product name. Something like iPhone 14 Pro. We can have some price. So what is the price we have in India for iPhone 14 Pro? Anybody knows? What is the price we have for iPhone 14 Pro? It's more than 1 lakh. You should get the job so that you can afford your iPhone 14 as well, right? So we have to get such kind of packages so that you can afford for your entire family, not only for you. Okay, let's assume something like 1,40,000. So what I'm doing here, I'm storing some information. Here also I am storing some information. So this is what I have explained. What is object? Object is data structure, right? Object is a data structure in JavaScript. What is the purpose of object? It is used to store the data. How we are storing the data? In the key value pair. Now we know what is object, how to create object, how to store the data. Am I right? Is it clear, guys, for everyone? Let me know yes, no, or confused. If you understood, just say yes. If you didn't understand, say no. If you got confused, just say confused. Yeah. So do you know one more data structure in JavaScript? Do you know one more data structure? There is one more data structure in JavaScript apart from object. Anybody knows about that data structure? Yes, array. Array, what is array? Array is a data structure. Okay. So what is the purpose of array? What is the purpose of array? Array is used to store the data. To store the data. Array is used to store the data. But how array will store the data? Array will store the data in the form of elements. Array store the data as a elements. Okay, what are those elements? Let's try to understand. Okay, first let's try to understand how to create array. How to create array. It's very simple, guys, very simple. How to create array? Take one variable, whatever name you want to give, something like details I am giving, equals to, if you want to create one array, just add square brackets. That's it. This is how we create the array in JavaScript. Very similar to your object. In object, we will use curly braces. In array, we will use square brackets. We will use square brackets. Is it okay, guys? How to create array? I hope everybody understood. So practically how to create something like this, var details equals to one array. I hope everybody knows how to create array now. And what is array? What is array? Array is a data structure. What is the purpose? Array is used to store the data. Okay. And this point we will discuss after some time. What are elements in array? We will discuss after some time. Okay, after some time means just within few minutes we will discuss. Here I have taught you how to create array. How to create array. Okay. So now let's take some break. After that, we will continue our topics. Okay. I will teach you how to store the data inside this array. After that, I will explain you what is element in that. Hi, Ankit.
Hi, Kabir. How are you? Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I hope everybody is enjoying the session with Kabir sir. Great to see. I mean, a lot of your answers. Good morning, good afternoon, in fact, everyone. Just to give a brief introduction, I am Ankit Maggu. I am one of the co-founders at Geekster. Just thought of pitching in, utilizing the break timing to interact with all of you. I hope all of you are getting good time learning about JavaScript, right? Great. Thanks. So, guys, just wanted to, kind of utilize these 5 minutes to maybe discuss a little bit about Geekster and, yeah, Kabir is a great mentor, is in fact one of the best tutors we have at Geekster. So that's one compliment that we keep getting, that Kabir is a great mentor. In fact, he's a passionate teacher above everything else, right? So just wanted to share a little bit with all of you about Geekster, about how we all started, and so that maybe at least since we are now connecting through a masterclass, right? So guys, Geekster is a tech upskilling platform. It's essentially a career track platform where we upskill candidates in the latest technologies and help them achieve their dream careers, help them build their dream careers in technology. By God's grace, in last 2.5 years, since the time that we are operational, we have taught more than 1,500 plus students, and I think more than 700 students have got great jobs through the 400 plus hiring partners that we have. And in last 1.5 year, we have at least associated 200-300 companies with us. I mean, some of the iconic brands like Airtel, KPMG, PayPal, Paytm, these are some of the companies which are hiring through us. But essentially we are a platform which trying to democratize opportunities for all kind of students like you, right? Initially the thought was that India has great talent, and those talent come from smallest of the smallest towns. How many of you believe that India has great talent? Just want to understand from you also before I keep sharing. How many of you believe that students have great potential? How many of do you believe? Yes, we all agree. Some yes, no. Anyone believes that we do not have potential. As a country, as students, we have potential, right? And I am very strong believer in this, very, very strong believer in this, believe me. And that was also the reason why we started Geekster. But how many of you believe that despite having this potential, still, at many times, learners, students do not able to crack greatest of greatest opportunities because of reasons which are not dependent on them, right? Some do not get great opportunities, some do not come from greatest of the colleges, IITs of the world, NITs of the world. Still, despite having that potential, नहीं great job नहीं मिल पाता है जो मिलना चाहिए, right? ये कितनों को लगता है? आप सबको लगता है पोटेंशियल सब में है, हम सबको पता है, बट क्या हम सब उस पोटेंशियल को अचीव कर पाते हैं हर बार? That is the reason we thought of building Geekster, to provide that platform ki irrespective wherever you are coming from, everybody should have an opportunity to build a great career. And that's the basic essence we are building Geekster with. So initially we started off with technology, and everything is a piece of parcel. Right now we are offering a career program in terms of a full stack web development program. This is a full stack web development program that we offer, and every course that we offer is very, very intensive course. We do not offer casual learners, right? हम ऐसे courses नहीं देते हैं जिसमें आप आए, कभी पढ़ा कभी नहीं पढ़ा. That is the reason everything that we do at Geekster is very, very intensive in terms of learning. हमारी पूरी learning journey of 10 months is live class format. Every day live class, because live classes are the best way to learn. Recorded content is available all over the internet, but impact is very, very minimal. That's why we wanted to give live, and we stick to key teachers and students should have very, very lot of interaction ताकि वो एक great career outcome अपने students को achieve कर सकें, right? So right now, guys, we are offering full stack web development program, which is a career oriented 10 months long program. I'm sure many of you, since you are attending the masterclass, you would know what a full stack web development is, right? How many of you know about full stack web development? Guys, feel free to answer. I mean, I'll not take more than 5 minutes. How many of you know full stack web development? Do you think it offers great career opportunities? By the way, do you know that it is one of the highest demanded skill in the industry, despite all the news about this XYZ company saying XYZ numbers? Full stack web development is still one of the most scarce resources in the industry right now, because a full stack developer knows how to develop backend, knows how to develop front end of application, and this is very, very valuable for a lot of companies. And that's the reason we focus on teaching, learning full stack web development in our entire program. Team, if we can just go to the page of full stack web development program that we offer. So full stack web development is one of the highest demanded skills in the industry, offers great career opportunities, and that's what we offer, cover in 10 months full stack web development program. Many of AI is coming up, but if you look at the jobs, AI is something which can come possibly next 2 to 3 years. But still, if you look at today's scenario, job market scenario, full stack web development is where developers are needed most. AI is the latest buzzword, I agree. Cybersecurity is there, guys, but security is to protect you, but to build things, to build great applications, great web applications, developers are needed. Cybersecurity is there. There'll be less number of jobs when there cybersecurity, but people are needed to build. Great techies are needed to build great applications. Cybersecurity people just prevent hacks and all, so their number of jobs are lesser, but full stack is in high demand. Go to LinkedIn. I recommend you go to LinkedIn, check the full stack web development, and then you will yourself get to know how many jobs are there in the market right now, right? So this is our full stack web development course curriculum. Everything, as I said, Geekster was started to provide a kind of a platform to every student. That's why we start from absolutely scratch. I mean, we don't assume that students know a lot of coding before they join us. We start from absolutely scratch. First 3 months is focused on building the core fundamental programming foundation. We start from scratch, but gradually we take the learners to advanced level. ultimate aim is to, by end of the program, they should be a great full stack web developer. Obviously, job is an outcome, but if you learn well, if you build great projects, great applications during the program, then obviously job is just an outcome, right? Then job is just an outcome. So this is the basic curriculum that we cover. First 3 months is focused on building the coding essentials and data structure algorithms. And then we move on to the front end part of the program, where you will be working from HTML, JavaScript, and HTML, CSS, and then JavaScript, and then you will be building React based web applications. You will be building complete front end of applications through React.js. Thereafter, the last part is on the back end, where you will be learning Node.js, Next.js, and backend, the API part of building web applications. So this is how the program is structured. Towards the end of the program, you also start getting a lot of referrals, placement opportunities through our hiring partners, and that's how, after you get a job, this program is actually completed. And these are some of the learners who have got to transform their careers. And as you can see that the intention is not only to provide opportunity for people who know, but also provide opportunity for people who do not know but want to learn, right? And that's what we are focused on from day one. So ऐसा नहीं है कि आपको कोडिंग आती है तभी आप हमारे साथ सीख सकते हैं. अगर नहीं भी आती, सीखना चाहते हैं तो भी आप सीख सकते हैं. You will see lot of, if you go on LinkedIn, you will find lot of learners who are from petroleum engineering background, from mechanical background. Many of them are from BTech computer science engineering background also, but we have a mix of pool. Now they are willing to build their careers in technology. And one of the question that I am getting in personal chat, that how Geekster is different from other platforms, and I genuinely want to take this question because I do believe that focus at Geekster is guys is on our learning. As you have seen that in the masterclass also, very focused on learning, how we teach, what we teach, कैसे हम teach करते हैं, students retain कितना कर पाता है. अब पूरे program में हम we revise everything 3 times at least. So our focus is on learning as a company, that ultimately we are a learning company. And many of other competitors that you will go to, they are very focused on completing the program very fast, and at times many learners are not able to retain it, right? And that's what has happened कि class में हो जाना is not कि आपको आ जाना. So our focus is our students should learn, should not be कि हमने कोर्स खत्म कर दिया. हमारा कोर्स तब तक चलता है जब तक स्टूडेंट्स हमारे सीख नहीं जाते, right? That's what we focus on. Secondly, I think the focus is on student getting career outcomes also, right? Student getting career outcomes as well, because ultimately our students should go to great companies, and then we feel proud that at least the value is getting delivered to our learners. Every program that we offer should have a career outcome on our students' career. It should not be कि किसी learner ने आया, पढ़ाई की, कोर्स पूरा किया और कुछ भी नहीं हुआ. So every program that we offer, career outcome is very must. Is was we focus on कि अगर हमारे learner ने हमारे साथ पढ़ाई की है, time spent किया है, they should be able to either get a job or build some freelancing web project. They should be getting some career outcome from the program. So that's the 2 key focuses on our platform. One more I think question I am getting is, what about the placements? So guys, if we talk about placements, the average CTC that students have got from Geekster is 8.2 LPA. Highest has been 33 LPA, but the important part is there are at least 400 plus companies. Students have cracked, at least 200-300% hikes also students have got. We've got multiple learners who were earlier working with TCS, and they have transformed their careers from TCS to PayPal, from Infosys to Telstra. These are the kind of transformations we have witnessed in 2 years of our existence, 2.5 years of our existence. There were students who were working as a test engineer in TCS. There were students who were working as a system engineer in Infosys, and they have been able to move to product companies at a CTC hike of 300%, 250%. So these are the things which keep us going, right? कि इतना impact हो रहा है अगर students के career पे, तो हमें भी बहुत energy मिलती है कि यार whatever we are doing is having some impact at the students' career, right? Students have worked with companies like Airtel, like PayPal, like Paytm, Amazon. These are some of the companies where students have cracked. And this is, believe me, this is not only because of us. This is because you guys had potential आप सब लोगों में है, believe me, आप सब लोगों में इतना potential है जितना maybe at many times students themselves don't know कि उनमें कितना potential है, right? When they come, when they start realizing कि यार जो हमें पढ़ा रहा है tutor, we are equally smart. At times you realize during the journey, you guys realize कि how much potential you have. That's the time when you get that confidence कि यार there is no big deal in cracking any big company. There is no big deal. Genuinely, it's very, very easy. It's very systematic. If you follow the process, you will reach there. There is nothing very, it's not कि कोई बहुत ज्यादा मतलब रेयर IQ चाहिए आपको. It's very, very basic. Everybody has that potential. It's just a matter of guidance. Many times हमें guidance नहीं मिलती है, वो हमें mentorship नहीं मिलती है, करेक्ट पाथ दिखाने वाला हमें कोई सीनियर नहीं होता है हमारे पास, और उन सारी चीजों से हम कभी रियलाइज ही नहीं कर पाते यार कि हम क्या कर सकते थे और हम क्या कर रहे हैं, राइट? इवेंचुअली ओवर ए पीरियड ऑफ टाइम, ओवर ए पीरियड ऑफ 4 years 5 years, एट टाइम्स वी सी कि यार हमारा दोस्त वहां से वहां चला गया और हम यहाँ से यहीं रह गए. हालांकि एट टाइम्स यू वुड हैव फील कि यार वो दोस्त ऐसा नहीं था कि वो बहुत स्मार्ट था, राइट? बस उसको डायरेक्शन मिल गई, किसी ने उसका उसका कोई बड़ा भाई था या उसका कोई बड़ा सीनियर था जो उसका बहुत क्लोज था, उसने उसको डायरेक्शन दिखा दी एंड ही स्टार्टेड वॉकिंग ऑन दैट पाथ व्हिच हैज लेड हिम टू सक्सेस. एंड किसी ने नहीं दिखाई तो यू हैव वेस्टेड टाइम एंड थिंग्स हैव हैपेंड. सो द इम्पैक्ट व्हिच आई एम ट्राइंग टू मेंशन इज, तो इम्पैक्ट का डिफरेंस बहुत ज्यादा आ जाता है. So that's why right guidance and right hand holding is very, very much needed at the right time. राइट? चीजें अगर 3 साल बाद होती हैं तो उनका इम्पैक्ट नहीं हो सकता, बट इफ एट द राइट स्टेज एट द राइट टाइम अगर हम कोई हमें गाइड कर देता है सीनियर, एंड दैट्स द रीजन वी हैव आवर एजुकेटर्स एंड मेंटर्स फ्रॉम ऑल टॉप कंपनीज. दीज आर द गाइज हु आर not only cracked big companies but they are passionate educators, right? They want to impact others learners. I mean बहुत सारे लोग ऐसे हैं जो colleges time से पढ़ा रहे हैं इनमें से, right? Not like कि after getting a big company they have started educating. They have been educators in 6 years 7 years, right from their second years. Many of them were teaching even to 11 12 kids when they were in first year of college. So they were passionate educators, and that's what we honestly ensure कि कोई भी educator अगर Geekster platform पे आके पढ़ा रहा है, he should be very, very passionate about teaching. It should not only be कि मुझे coding सिखानी है. They genuinely want to make an impact in learners career, right? And that's what is one of the key elements. And you will feel like Kabir sir, you will feel कि every educator is very passionate, and that's what one of the key elements that we are building at Geekster. So that is it, guys, from my end. If you have any questions, please feel free to shoot. I think I've exceeded my time limit. I'm sorry, but next 2 minutes I'll be wrapping up. And if you have any questions, feel free to kind of shoot me, and I'll be happy to answer. I think Kabir sir has also joined back, so he will be happy to taking your session again. So fee structure. I'm sorry, I missed that fee structure part. So fee structure is it's a 75,000 course fee, 75,000 which can be paid in installments. So we have tried from our side, despite having that lot of cost from the industry experts, we have tried from our side to make the courses as affordable as we can, and that's why we have kept it at a 75,000 total costing of 75,000, which can be paid in 12 equally monthly installments, right? So overall cost will not be around more than 5,500 around per month, right? And another important aspect which I missed, that the course comes with 100% money back guarantee feature, which states that if you complete the program, with Geekster, and if you do not get a job, if you do not get a great career outcome, then Geekster is bound to return every single penny from you. I mean, even the single paisa will be returned back. But believe me, it's not going to happen. If you complete the program with us, you will be getting a great job. And that's what we focus on throughout the program. This is not a pay after placement program, Shoaib. This is a prepaid model, but it comes with a money back guarantee. So pay after placement generally is courses are offering in the range of 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs. And generally we have seen over the last 2 years that a lot of students used to ask us, why are your courses are so expensive, right? But pay after placement, we have seen that the course price generally is very high, and that's why we have reduced the course price to a nominal 75,000 rupees only. And it also gives that money back guarantee assurance to a student for a great career outcome. If you complete the program, you do not get a great opportunity at the end of the program, you can take your money back, right? So it is that we have created, we have tried to, you know, get all the benefits of pay after placement, but at a very, very nominal price, right? Any other questions, guys? Any other questions before I leave? So you can check our website if in case you feel that you want to know more, etc. You can always kind of check our website, and we'll be happy to answer. So thank you everyone. I'll be taking a leave now. I think Kabir sir has joined. Shivam has some answers about placement with minimum package. Minimum is 5 if you complete the program. Minimum package is 5 lakhs per annum. So I'll not be able to take more questions, guys. I'm getting some questions, but I'll not be able to. We are running short of time. I'm sorry. So Kabir, over to you. Sorry if I exceeded my time limit. Sorry.
No problem.
Thank you.
Ankit. Yeah. Thank you, Ankit.
Thank you.
Yeah, guys. I think you got a complete information about Geekster and what Geekster is all about. Great. So let's come back to our concept. So we were discussing about the arrays, right? We were discussing about arrays, and I have just explained you what is array. So array is a data structure, right? And what is the purpose of array? We know what is the purpose of array. Array is used to store the data. Fine. Now we array is used to store the data. That is what we have understood. Now then we discussed how to create array. We have just discussed how to create array, and simply we have created array practically as well. This is how we can create the array. If you want to create one more array, create one variable, give some name, whatever name you want to give. For example, here I am giving something like category. Okay, equals to, if you want to create array, just add square brackets, open square bracket, close square bracket. This is what we are going to call as an array. And this is how we create the array in our JavaScript. This is one of the way, okay, one of the way creating the array in the JavaScript. Now inside this array, what we can do, we can store the data. We can store the data. Suppose I want to store the data here. For example, I want to store the ID of some user. ID of some user. Let's consider ID is 101. So here 101. Now this is the ID of the user. Now this is considered as a data which we are storing inside the array. Now can we store multiple data? Answer is yes. If you want to store one more data, you have to add a comma operator and you can store one more data. For example, I want to store the name of some user. So here I will be storing something like Ayush. Now here Ayush is also a data. So here 101 is a data, Ayush is also a data. So how many data we are able to store here? We are able to store multiple data. Same like object only. In object, we can store the data in this property format, nothing but key value format. In array, we can store the data in element format. Now here, each data we are going to call as an element. So this is one element, this is another element. Okay, so let's come back here. How to create array? Take one variable, whatever name you want to give. Something like here, details equals to one array. Inside this, you can store the data like 101 or something like Ayush. Whatever data you want, you can store. You can store Boolean type of data like this. Now, these are called elements. These are called elements in your array. So this is what I have told. I will discuss about elements after some time, after the break. Now, all these are called elements. Now, how many elements I have in my array means I have totally 3 elements. I have totally 3 elements in array. Is it clear for everyone how to create array and how to store the data in array? Let me know on the chat, guys. Yes, no. Yes or no? Yes. Let's come back to one more concept. Now, how many concepts you know in JavaScript? What are the concepts we have discussed? We have discussed variables, data types, object, and array. Okay. In the last 1 hour, we have discussed this many topics. Trust me, guys, in our full stack development course, these topics we are going to discuss in much more detail. So nearly we will discuss 5 hours only on this topic. We will discuss 5 to 8 hours. I think 5 to 8 hours we will take just to discuss this topic. Today we have discussed all these topics in 1 hour. But in our course, we will discuss same topics for next 5 to 8 hours. So you can understand how depth we are going to discuss about these topics, in how much depth we are going to discuss. Okay. So this is just, I just wanted to know you like exactly how we are going to cover our full stack development course. Okay. Now let's discuss about one more topic in JavaScript, that is functions. Do you know functions in JavaScript? What are functions in JavaScript? Yeah, you can store different types of data in the array. In single array, you can store any type of data. This is what I have done here. I have stored number, I have stored string. This is allowed in the JavaScript. Okay, it is allowed in the JavaScript. But it is not allowed in the Java language, right? In Java language, it is not allowed to store different type of data in your array. But in JavaScript, it is allowed. Okay, so are you guys aware about function concept in JavaScript? This is the most important concept in your entire JavaScript, functions. So what are functions in JavaScript? You might heard about functions in C language also. In your college days, you might have explored C language, and in the C language, there was a concept called functions. So same concept we have in the JavaScript also. So what are functions? Anybody knows? Yeah. So basically, function is a collection of JavaScript code or JavaScript instructions. Okay, or we can use a term called JavaScript statements. Okay, you can use any term, JavaScript code or JavaScript instructions or JavaScript statements. So what is function? Function is a collection of JavaScript code or instructions or statement in a block, Okay. And what is the purpose of function? What we can do with this function? Using function is used to perform some action. Okay, what is the function? What is the purpose of function? Function is used to perform some action. So what is function? Function is a block of, it is basically one block in which we will write the JavaScript code or instructions or statements. Now, why we are writing those code or why we are writing those instructions or statement? To perform some action, Okay, so how do we create functions in JavaScript? For that, we have to know the syntax of JavaScript. We have to know the syntax of function in JavaScript. So the syntax will start something like this. We have to use here a function keyword, space, some name we have to give, function name we have to give, then open parenthesis, close parenthesis, then open curly braces, close curly braces. This is how we create the function in JavaScript. Okay, this is how we create simple function in JavaScript. Now this curly braces, from this curly braces to this curly braces, we are going to call as a function block. Function block starts from here to here. This we are going to call as a function block. Okay, inside this function block, here we can write our code. Now see how easy the concepts are in JavaScript. You have seen how to create object, how to create array, how to create variables, and how to create function. This is how we create the function in JavaScript. So practically, let's try to create one function. So here I am creating one more file, something called functions.js. How to create function? Use function keyword. Give some name to your function, something like fn add. Open circular bracket, nothing but open your parenthesis, close your parenthesis, then open curly brace, close curly brace. This is your function. Okay. Now inside this function, we can write our code. What we know till now, we know how to create variables. Can I create one variable here? Var num1, num1, and I am just storing some number here. Can I create one more variable? I can create one more variable. Var num2 equals to something. Okay. Now, can I add these numbers? 100 plus 400. How to add your numbers? For that, we can use this variable names. We can do something like this. Instead of doing 100 plus 400, we will do something like this. Num1 plus num2. Nothing but internally what you are doing? Internally, you are doing 100 plus 400. Now 100 plus 400 will generate some result. It will generate some result. That result we will store in one more variable, something called var result. Var result. Okay. So this is how we can write some set of code. This is called some set of code, or we can call this as a set of instructions, or we can call all this as a set of statements. Set of statements. You can use any term. So we are writing some set of instructions inside one block. Inside one block, and that block we are going to call as a function. That block we are going to call as a function. Understood how to create function and how to add your JavaScript code inside the function? Is it clear for everybody? Yeah, guys. In case if you are getting confused, let me know. I can re-explain the things. If you got confused, let me know. Or if you didn't understand, let me know. So 3 options: yes, if you understand; no, if you didn't understand; and if you got little bit confused, then you can just type confused on the chat. Okay. Can we create one more function? Can we create one more function here? How to create function? Simply write the function keyword, space, give some name. Whatever name you want, you can give. Whatever name you want. Okay. I'm giving some name like get data. Get data. Then open this parenthesis, close parenthesis. Space, open curly brace, close curly brace. This is how we create the function. And inside this function, what you can do, you can write any JavaScript code. You can write any JavaScript code. You can create variable object also here. Something like this, var student equals to one object. Here name, something like, I'm adding something like here Ayushi. One more, something like gender, here like female. You can create one array also, var something here like details equals to, let's consider here I am storing some ID numbers, 101, something like 102, 103, 104, like this. So here I am trying to teach you what is function, how to create function. This is what my intention is, to teach you guys. What is function, how to create function. What is function and how to create function. Is it clear for everybody? What is function and how to create function? Okay. So now we know some basic concepts of JavaScript, right? We know what are variables. We know what are data types. We know object. We know array. Okay, we know functions. We know functions. So this is what we have learned till now in our sessions. So based on these concepts, can we build something? Can we try to build something? Okay, so this is what we know in the JavaScript. So to this JavaScript, we will add HTML, we will add CSS, and we will try to build something. Let's try to build something. So can we build one profile card? Can we build one profile card? Okay, inside this profile card, we will try to implement a theme concept. If you see, lot of websites are giving us multiple themes where you can change the theme. You can show dark theme, light theme. For example, let me show one website. I hope everybody knows about React.js. Okay, let's consider this is one website. Now, are you able to see here dark theme? Everything is in the dark theme. Now I want to show light theme here. So they are giving here some button to us. If I click on this, I am getting here light theme. Again, if I click on this, I will get dark theme. So I can switch from one theme to another theme. Light theme, dark theme, light theme, dark theme. So how can you do this? How can you switch from one theme to another theme? For that, we required JavaScript. And we required the concepts of, we required the HTML and CSS also. Using JavaScript, HTML and CSS, we can implement this kind of functionality. So can we try this? So I want to develop something like this. Like this, I want to create one profile card. I want to mention some data here. I want to mention some data. Now here I have one checkbox. I have here one checkbox. If I uncheck this checkbox, I should get here light theme. If I check this checkbox, I should get here this dark theme. And I have two buttons here, something like Kabir and Sneha. If I click on Kabir, my data should change. I should get here some male image and some data should be changed here. See, if I click on Kabir, see, data is changing here, image is changing, here my data is also changing. If I click on Sneha, I will get Sneha details. And I can switch from dark theme to light theme, dark theme to light theme. So I want to implement this kind of profile card. And to implement this kind of profile card, whatever concepts we have learned, that concepts are enough. If I required any other concept, I will explain that concept and I will implement this particular card. Is it clear for everyone? Can we try this? So let's try to implement this card. Okay, from scratch, we will try to implement this card. So tell me, first of all, if you want to show some content, on your web page like this, which technology you required? If you want to create, if you want to show some content like this on the web page, which technology we required? We required HTML. So can we create one HTML file here? Can I create one HTML file here? So I will create one new file and here I will give the name like profile.html. Okay, now this is HTML file. Now our HTML will start with which line? Our HTML file should start with which line? We have to mention here doc type. So we have to say to the browser that I am using HTML file. So here we have to mention our document type. After that, we have to start with our HTML tag. Inside that, we will have header tag and we will have the body tag. This is the basic structure of your HTML document. This is the basic structure of your HTML document. I am assuming that everybody knows HTML here. I am assuming that everybody have the basic knowledge of HTML at least. Okay. Now, can I create one card like this? Can I create one card? I want to create one card like this. I want to create one card. Now, how can we create the card in HTML? Using HTML, how can we create the card? So what we can do, we can take one div element. Can we take one div element? Okay, I am taking one div element. So inside my body, I will take one div element. I will add here some content like card. Some content like card. Now, can you guys tell me by default, what is the width of your div element? What will be the width of your div element by default? What is the width of your div element? If you know HTML, you can say what is the width of div element. By default, the width of div element will be 100%. Whatever your screen size will be there, it will take your complete screen size. So width will be 100%. And what will be the height? By default, what will be the height of your div element? That depends on content, right? Depends on content. How much content you have, that will be the height of your div element. So can we try this? Now this is my div element. Okay. For this, I want to add some styles. So I am taking this header tag. Inside this, I will take one style tag. Here I will select this div and I will add border. I will just add here border. Border something like 4 pixel solid black. Now save it, right click, open this document inside your browser. Now see, here we created one div. So by default, your div is 100%. Okay. Now here we are getting some space, that is because of this body tag. So let me just remove that space. Now see, by default, your width of your div is 100%. Height depend upon how much content you have. How much content you have, that much height we have here. Can we increase the height? Can we increase the height of this div element? Can we increase the height of this div element? Answer is yes. So to increase the height, we have to just add height property and we have to give some height. For example, I am giving 400 pixel. Now come back here. Now see, the height of your div has been increased. Can I decrease the width? Can I decrease the width? Div is 100%, right? I want to decrease the width. Can I do that? Yes. For that, we have to add width property. Something like I am giving here 1000 pixel. Now save it. Come back here. Refresh it. Now let me just see here. Yeah, here I should not add in the double quotes. Now save it. Now see, width has been decreased. Can we bring this entire div exactly in the center? Exactly in the center. So for that, we can use margin property. Margin something like 30 pixel from top and from left, right, auto, so that it will come in the center. Now see, exactly we got in the center. Okay, so I am assuming that you know CSS. That is the reason these topics I am not teaching. Okay, so this class is all about JavaScript. So let's focus only on JavaScript. And these are basic CSS. I hope everybody is aware about these properties. Okay, yeah. Now how to get this file in your browser means what you need to do. Here on the left side, you have some options. Okay, here there is one option called extension. Click on this extension. Once you click on this extension, one search box will come here. Now here, search for live server. Search for live server. Now you will get lot of options here. There is one option called Ritvik Day. And here you will find one install button. You will find one install button. Just click on that install. Install this extension. Once it is installed, close your VS Code, reopen it. Close your VS Code and reopen it. And on your HTML document, anywhere on the HTML document, right click. You will get here one option called live server. You will get one option called live server here. Open with live server. Click on that open with live server. This document will open in your browser. This document will open in your browser. Understood? Go to extensions first. Go to extensions. Search for live server. You will get lot of options. Click on install button. Click on install button. That's it. Now again go back to here. Click on this icon. You will see all your folder structure. All your files and folder structure. If you click on extension, you will get that extension part. If you click on this first icon, you will get your folder and all your files. Okay, done. Now instead of border, I will use something called box shadow. Okay, box shadow also will give us some box. It will just provide us shadow around our div element. So I am adding here box shadow. Now see how it looks. Now it looks something like this. See, here we got some shadow. We got some shadow around our box. That is because of this box shadow property. Okay, this is again CSS. All these are CSS. Now what I will do, this I have created one card now. Simple card I have created using div. Like this. Now this card I will divide into two parts. I will divide into two parts. Like this I will divide. It means I need to create some layouts here. I need to create two layouts here. Like this. So in CSS, if you want to create layouts, which concept we will use? In CSS, if we want to create layouts, which concept we will use? Anybody knows? Yes, we will go with flex or grid, right? We can go with flex or grid. These are the concepts of CSS now. Okay, these are not the concepts of JavaScript. These are the concepts of CSS. Okay, so let's come back here. Now here I can make this particular box as a flex box. Whatever box I have created, right? Whatever card I have created, this box, I want to make this as a flex box. I want to make this as a flex box. How to make this as a flex box? For that, we have to simply add one property called display. And the value should be flex. Value should be flex. If you add this property to this box, then your box will be like a flex box. So come back here. I can just add here display flex. Now my box is like a flex box. Now inside this div, I will take two more divs. Div 1 and div 2. For the div 1, I will give some ID, something like image. And here I will give some ID, something like content or something like info. I can select this image div. I will increase the width. I will give something like 40% and I will add some background color, something like red. I will select this info. For this, I will add width as a 60% and background color, I will add something like a blue violet. Now just see how it will look. Now see, we got something like this. Okay, now I don't want to add this height. I will remove this height. If I remove this height, it looks something like this now. Now you cannot see that. If you add that height, you will be able to see that box. So basically, we have just divided it. We have just divided it in two parts. Here, see, I have added simply one div, one more div. That's it. Apart from that, nothing. In first div, I want to show one image. So I will add here image. Image src equals to something. Width, I will say 100%. And height, I will say 100%. I just need to add one image here. So I will grab some image from the internet. Something like male professional images. Okay, I will just grab some image from here. So right click on this image. You will get some option here. Copy image address. Click on that. Paste here. Now save it. You will get one profile card here. Profile card. Now let me come back here. Let me remove this background color now. Okay, let me add here something like 50 pixel. Now we got something like this here. We got one image and we got something like this. Now can you guys tell me why we are getting this space? Anybody knows why we are getting this extra space? Why we are getting that extra space? Anybody can guess? Okay, if I remove this body, will that extra space will go? So still it is not going. Anybody can guess why I am getting this extra space here? See, auto is for bringing your card in center, exactly in the center. If I remove this auto, in that case, what happens? You got something like this. Okay, but if I add auto, it will come exactly in the center. Okay, can I do height? Can I make this height as 100%? If I make this one height as 100%, then still there is no issue, right? Still there is no change basically. Anybody can guess what might be the issue here? Like why I'm getting here like this? Okay, we will try that after some time. Meanwhile, let's try to add at least some content here. Okay, I will just add some content here. Then we will discuss that part. Now let me come back here. Inside this div, inside this second div, I will use data list element. In that data term. And here I will use something like username, but I will add in the bold size. Username. In the data definition, I can just give some username, something like I'm giving here something like Raj Sinha. Now save it and let me remove this background color now. Now save it. Come back here. Now see, here we got something like username Raj Sinha. Okay. Now I just want to add some padding here for this. Something like 50 pixel. Now see, here I got some space. I got some space here. Is it clear? So let me do one thing. Let me remove here. Let me add here. See, I will tell you what is that issue. The issue is because of this div element. Okay. Here we are using this div element, right? And in CSS, we are selecting using tag name. Sorry, using tag name. And these properties are applied for all the divs. It is applied for this div also. It is applied for this div also. It is applied for this div also. This is the reason we are getting this kind of issue. If you want to resolve this issue, what you can do for this our main div. For main div, you give some ID like something like card and select this div using ID selector instead of selecting using tag name. Now you have selected here div using tag name. That is the reason these properties are applying for all the divs. It is applying for this div also. It is applying for this div also. It is applying for this div also. That is the issue. Now I don't want these properties should be applied. I don't want these properties should be applied for this inner divs. For this div and for this div, I don't want to apply those properties. Those properties should be applied for only this div. So how to resolve this? For that, simply here, instead of using tag name, we have to select using ID selector. That's it. Your issue will be resolved. Understood what is that issue? The issue was because of this tag name. Here we were selecting that tag name like div. And whatever divs you are using, for all those divs, that CSS is applied. Now I don't want that CSS should be applied for all the divs. It should be applied only for my container div. So for that, simply select here container using ID selector. Now it will be proper. Okay, simple issue. It was very, very simple issue. Okay, that was not because of ID or something. Okay, that is not because of this height or width. Okay, you can write height anywhere. You can add on the top also. There will be no difference in the output. Yeah, let's come back here. Now this is the data term, which is again your HTML concept. So can I add one more here for email ID, one more for something like gender, one more for something like description. So here I will change the name to something like email ID. Here I can just add something like rajsinha@gmail.com. Here I can add gender. And here it will be like male. And here some description. Okay, I'm just generating some random content here. I will take one paragraph tag. I will add some random content. Now, if you come back here, it looks something like this now. It looks something like this. Now I want two buttons here. I want two buttons. So can I add two buttons here? One button name something like Raj Sinha. And one more button I will add with some female name. Something like Ayushi Sharma. Okay, I just want to add some space between these buttons. So I will use HTML. Now if you come back here, now see you got two buttons here. I want one text, one checkbox here, one checkbox. So we can just add here BR tag so that our checkbox will come in the next line. So input type equals to checkbox. Now here we got one checkbox. Input type equals to checkbox. Okay, input spelling. Yeah, switch to dark mode. Now see, here we got one checkbox. Okay, we created one profile card. We created one profile card using HTML and CSS. Am I right? So we just wrote HTML, CSS code. I went little bit fast because I am assuming that everybody knows the basics of HTML and CSS. Now to this profile card, I want to add some interactivity. Like if I click on Ayushi Sharma, I should get here Ayushi image. My data should change to Ayushi. If I click on Raj Sinha, again I should get the Raj information here, Raj image and Raj data here. That this is what I want here. So data I want to change dynamically. Here I want to change the data dynamically. Now how can you change the data dynamically? Anybody knows which concept we have to use now so that we can change the data dynamically here? Anybody can guess which technology we have to introduce now so that we can change this data dynamically on this button click. If I click on Ayushi, I should get here Ayushi data. If I click on Raj, I should get here Raj data. Yeah, this is where we have to introduce our JavaScript now. Okay, this is where we have to introduce JavaScript. Now, where we can write our JavaScript code? Where we can write our JavaScript code? Inside JavaScript file. So can I create one JavaScript file here? Profile.js. Now, can I connect this JavaScript file with HTML file? Can I connect this both the file? If you want to connect this both the file, what you need to do? You have to go to the head section. Here you have to take one script tag. To this script tag, you have to add one attribute called src. And to this src attribute, you have to give the name of your JavaScript file. So in our case, it is a profile.js. Now this is how we can integrate our JavaScript file with HTML file. Okay. Now what I want to do, whenever I check this checkbox, I want to change this background color. I want to make this background color black, and this content, whatever content I am displaying, this content I want to show in the white color. So how can we do that? So when we have to do this kind of operation, when we have to change the color after checking this checkbox, so what we can do for this checkbox, we can pass one attribute called onChange. And to this onChange attribute, we can pass one value as our function call. So first we will define one function here, something called function change theme. Okay, this is how we create the functions in JavaScript. This is what we have learned. Now I want to call this function. How to call the function? We have to just take the function name. And in front of that, we have to add this parenthesis. Now this is called function call. If you call your function, then only this function will execute. So I am saying, whenever I check this checkbox, this function should be called. Now just check here. Now I want to just check whether it is calling or not. I will add here something called alert. In front of that, I am adding some parenthesis. And here I will add some content like working. Now what is this alert? This is predefined function. This is called predefined function. So your browser created this function and they are providing this function to us. They are directly providing that function to us. If you call this function, you will see one alert box on your browser. You will see one alert box on your browser. Just check here. If you click on this checkbox, now see one box is coming here. This box is because of this alert function. Because of this alert function. Okay. So it means whenever I check this box, whenever I check this checkbox, I am getting this alert function. So this function is working. Now, whenever you check that checkbox, this function is called. Now, what you need to do? What you need to do? Here, what you need to do? You have to take the access of this particular box. Only this box. You need the access of this particular box. Once you have the access of this box, then to this box you can add one background color. Now, how to get the access of this box? How to get the access of this box? To get the access of this box, your JavaScript is providing us one predefined object called document. One predefined object called document. Inside this document object, we will have one function called getElementById. Using this function called getElementById, we can get the access of this particular box. Only this particular box. Okay, so to get the access of this particular box, we have to pass the ID of that particular box. ID of that particular box. So what is the ID we have given? So this is the div, okay, which represents this box, this white color box. So what is the ID we have given? Info. So just pass here info. If you use document object and call this function called getElementById, and if you pass info, it will give you one reference. It will give you the reference of this particular box. Nothing but it will give you the access of this particular box. So we can take this access where something called info box. Now on this box, to this info box, I want to add some style. I want to add some style. So how to add style? For that, we have to simply say dot style. So we are saying to this info box, I am adding one style. What style? I want to add background color. I want to add background color. What background color you want to add? I want to add black. I want to add black. That's it. Now, if you come back here, now if I click on this checkbox, I got background color black. Okay. Now, but this content is not visible. This content I want to show. So we need to change the color of this content. So in this box, whatever content is displayed, that content color we need to change. How to change? For that, one more property we have to write. We are saying in my info box, add one style. What style? This time color. Change the color of my content to white. That's it. Now, if you come back here, now if I click on this checkbox, now see, I got white color, black color background, white color content. Now, if I uncheck it, again, I want white color background and content should be in the black color. If I uncheck it, I want to change the color. Now, how you will come to know, how this JavaScript will come to know that user have checked this checkbox or he have unchecked this checkbox. So for that, what JavaScript is saying, whenever you are calling any function, like this, to this function, you can pass one special object. That is event object. You can pass one event object. Now, what is event? It is one special object. Using this object, you can find the information whether user have checked that checkbox or he have unchecked that checkbox. Okay. Now, if you are passing one object, you are passing one event object, means this object we have to collect here. we have to collect here. Now using this object, we can identify whether user checked that checkbox or he is not checked that checkbox. So for that, this event object is giving us one property called checked. This checked value will return true or false. It will return true or false. If this event dot target dot checked is returning true, if it is returning true, it means user checked that checkbox. If event dot target dot checked is returning false, it means user unchecked that checkbox. So how to identify? For that, what we will do, we will add here one if else statement. Here we will add one if else statement. So here we will add one if, and we will pass this event dot target dot checked. If event dot target dot checked is true, it means if user checked that checkbox, then what you need to do, you have to make background color black and text color white. Else means if user is unchecked it. If user unchecked it, what you need to do, you have to make background color white and text color black. You have to do vice versa. White and it should be black. Now save it. Now come back here. Refresh. Now if I click on this, black. If I uncheck, white. Black, white. Now see how are we able to change this theme? How we are able to change this theme? Using JavaScript. For that, we have added JavaScript. So here there are some new terms for you guys, the people who don't know JavaScript. For them, this document object, okay, this get element by ID, and this event object. These are the new concepts. This is object, this is object, this is function, this is function. This is called predefined function. Predefined function. Are we able to implement now this dark theme and light theme? Okay, now we are lacking lot of time because we don't have much time. That is the reason little bit I went fast, but just I tried to make you understand what is the purpose of JavaScript. And I was able to teach you some basic concepts, right? What is variable? What is data types? Like how many data types we have? What is object? How to create object? What is array? How to create array? What is function? How to create function? How to integrate? How to integrate HTML and JavaScript? This is what we have just learned in today's master session. And we are able to develop one profile card. And in that, we are able to develop one theme. Okay, this is what we have done in today's master session. So we had just 2 hours. So within 2 hours, at least we are able to learn something, right? But now imagine if you have 10 months, then how many concepts you can develop and how many things you can develop by yourself. That you guys can assume yourself. By just learning few concepts, we are able to develop at least this functionality, dark theme and light theme. Now, if you know all the concepts of all the technologies, then you can just do the wonders. Yeah. So that's all guys from my end. I just don't want to extend because already we are exceeding the time. Already we have exceeded 20 minutes. Okay. Like if you have any kind of doubts, feel free to let me know. If you have any doubts, feel free to let me know. So this image and text we got side by side using CSS. using this flex concept. Okay, so basically what happens is, if you create, like if I'm creating one box, in this box I have taken two divs, right? So by default your divs will be like this, one after another. By default they will be like this. But this black color box, what I told, I want it should be like a flex. I made this black color box like a flex. Now whenever you make this black color box as a flex, what happens? These two divs will be one beside. It means internally it will change like this. This is your black color box. Now your divs will be like this. One div will be here and one div will be here. Okay, they will be like beside instead of displaying like one after another. So when they will display beside, if you say display flex, if you add that property. After that, what I did, I increased the width. I told this box should be 40%, this box should be 60%. Now if I increase the width, then they will be displayed like this. So if you see here, I told image div should be 40% and your that right side div should be 60%. So inside our card, we have two divs. This is the div 1, this is the div 2. Now this is 40%, this div is 60%. Inside this div, we are displaying one image, and inside next div, we are displaying that data list. Yeah, you can use for flex that. For that, you can use flex, Arura. Rudra Sunkari, we can use flex concept for that. Yeah. So here what we did, this button action you can do, okay, but we are lacking lot of time. That is the reason I'm not able to implement this button wala thing. So same thing, what we need to do here also we have to create one function something like fn, and this function if you want to call on the button click, what you will do, simply on this button we will add one attribute called on click, and here we will call that function. That's it. Now whenever user will click on this button, this function will be called. And whatever code you will write here, that code will execute. Okay. Yeah. So because of lack of time, I'm not able to explain JavaScript, guys. In my like normal sessions, if I take any normal session just to explain these concepts, whatever we have learned, I nearly spend 12 hours. Okay, I'm saying about me. Okay, I'm saying about me. I take nearly 12 hours to explain only these concepts. So there are different educators who will just take 5 to 6 hours, or some people might take 8 hours. But personally, I will take 12 hours just to explain these concepts, because in that depth we will discuss all these topics. Now here we had only 2 hours, right? That is the reason I just need to introduce few basic concepts and I have to run little bit. Jatin, your browser can understand only pixels. You use any unit, finally all those units will be converted into pixels. Okay, so all these EMs, Ms, REMs, percentage, that is for our convenient. We are using for our convenient, but all these units will be converted into pixels only. So there is one beautiful topic in CSS called CSS units. There you will learn all these concepts like what is M, what is rem, what is percentage, when to use percentage, when to use rems, how rems are converted into pixel, how percentage is converted into pixel, how your M is converted into pixel. This is what you will learn in the CSS units concept. Okay, browser can understand only one unit, that is pixels. Yeah, that's all, guys. If you don't have any doubts, yeah, you guys can leave.
Okay, guys, thanks a lot for joining the session. You guys may be. Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone. In case you haven't filled the feedback form, please fill it in order to get the certificates. And you can follow Geekster on our socials on Instagram and YouTube. Thank you. Okay.